Can you see my dog? Hello! Hello down in Ghosts. We're back and we're on location. Today we're in the back of Largo in a place called Keel's Den. Keel's Den. Funny name. This den in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries was a big fearful place. Poets wrote about the devil living here. Many people talked about witches living here. They've actually found 3 witches in this area further up. This goes on for about 2 miles. But I put up a story about this place and its witches and its association with the devil. And I got a reply from someone saying, well, this pathway leads on for about 2-3 miles. It's called universally the Coffin Walk. This path would take you down to a castle down here, and when the Laird died, the Laird of Lundy was the name of the Lairds. They owned all this area, so all the peasants working the fields worked for the Lundys. But when one of the masters died, this is where the coffin would come with people on a barrow with people in their finery, and this walk takes you to Upper Largo, and it would take you directly to the church where the person would be interred, and this route would be lined with people in their best Sunday clothes, and they'd be dipping their cap as the body went past them. This is where it gets its name, the Coffin Walk. Now, I was writing about this, and someone said to me, it's a lovely dog walk here, and somebody's walking back with their dog and children nighttime in about October, when suddenly behind them there was a strange figure approached them. He was dressed really weird. He had a cloth cap on, and he looked like a labourer, they said. But he'd not been seen before. He just basically appeared behind them, maybe 50 yards. The family sped up, walking towards their car, and the figure followed them. When they got to the car, they turned round. The figure was gone. There's nowhere to go here. There's a fence here. There's another field here. But it's open sight. The person disappeared, scared the life out of the people that he was following. Anyway, so me and Rog investigate hauntings, and we wrote about a haunting, and someone got in touch with me and says, you ever had a problem at Upper Largo Cemetery? And I went, no, it's not a place we've really investigated. And I said, because they were a woman. She was walking her dog at the cemetery late at night, putting flowers down at someone's grave, when she saw a figure come from nowhere. A man in a cloth cap, dressed like an old-fashioned labourer, string round his trousers. And they watched him. He walked directly through the brick wall that surrounds the top of the cemetery, and a diagonal route onto the Coffin Walk on that side. And she marched up to see him walking down the Coffin Walk, and he disappeared in front of her. He disappeared. So we're pinning both these sightings together and seeing what we can find, if anything. It's a shot in the dark. It's a throw at the dartboard. But let's see if we can uncover anything here to do with the cloth-capped man. There we go. Is a title. You filming this?
Yeah, okay.
This is Leonard Low and Rodger Wilson on the Coffin Walk here, what's known as the Coffin Walk. We're asking to the spirits to bring yourself forward and say hello to us. Mr. Selkirk, do you haunt this place? You gonna speak to us? Hello, can you speak to us? Come out of the bushes and say hello. Can you speak to us? Who's he growling at? Can you see my dog? Dusk in Largo Cemetery. We have a great time, me and Rog. The ghouls are about to come from the grave. We hope not, anyway. But anyway, we're in Largo Cemetery. Now, this is a tragic story, this cemetery. In 1662, the plague had come up from London. It arrived in trading ships to Leith and St Andrews, and it spread around Scotland. The plague, Black Death, and took a high percentage of Scotland's population with it. In Largo, it was quite ruinous. St Andrews, out of about 60 ministers, they now had 20. There wasn't enough to bury the dead, and so they started to bury the dead in pits. And this is what this originally was. We've got a lovely church down here with its graveyard, and there's plenty of people buried in there. Largo was a small village at the time, but the surrounding villages and Largo, they grouped their dead together, and they positioned them in a piece of ground that's still untouched by any other stones that are now appearing here. And we'll go there in a minute. That's why we're here. But our story continues with our cloth-capped man. Where I'm standing here now, a woman was tending a grave behind me when she looked up to see a man in a weird cap, cloth cap, walk in this direction. And she stood up to see him string round his trousers like a field labourer. And to this woman's astonishment, he walked through the wall in front of me here and made his way onto the what's known as the Coffin Walk, which just breaks out here. The woman ran further up here to see him continue down the Coffin Walk, and he just vanished. Took a few steps and vanished. So, who is this cloth-capped man? That's what we're trying to find out. We're going to stay here for a few hours as it gets dark. The moon's out. Thank God the wind stopped. So we'll see what we get here. But we're going to go next. I'll show you the plague burial ground. This ground is untouched by stones. Everywhere else we have stones. You can see where they buried them up high, and as the bodies rotted, the earth caved in them. Each individual trough was filled with bodies. Can you see that? I hope you can make that out in the camera. That's quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see 5 different lines, pits, and I'm standing on more myself over the years. And yeah, they died in their hundreds here. Really sad and tragic. Mind you, we've just not done that ourselves with COVID. Another plague. Who'd have thought we'd have a plague in our lifetime? But anyway, as I stand here and the midges get a taste for me, and they are at the moment, Me and Rodger are going to use some of our equipment and see if anything's speaking to us here tonight. If we follow the angled stones straight through to the tree line there, that the tree, you can see there's absolutely nothing there. There's nothing. The figure we caught was 2 foot higher than the actual fence. And you can see there's absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
Is there a man with a cloth hat here? Do you have a name? It's very quiet.
It's brilliant. Couldn't have got a better night, to be honest.
It's dark.
Still daylight.
We've just found a stone with visit on it, and we've found a strange heat signature on it too. Yeah.
This is uncanny. I mean, we weren't in the cemetery 5 minutes and we wandered up, and the name we're looking for, Visit, was staring straight in front of us. So we examined it, and I've got my heat-seeking camera with me today, and so I scanned the grave and took photographs, and we've wandered up to where we were sitting previously when we filmed the other night, and we found a Polish man's name which matches the EVP we had, and it wasn't like 5 yards from the seat we were sitting at, so that's really creepy. But me and Rodger have been sitting discussing this. I've taken about 50 photographs in the graveyard today, and we're going through them all. And one of the photographs from our first gravestone we came to, we've got a heat signature of a figure standing in front of the grave. 2 photographs I took, and both it shows up. So that is, you don't get days like this, but that is quite exceptional evidence. Hello, we're back again to Largo Cemetery, and this time we have a special guest with us to help us in our wee examination of this spooky going on that we've got. And today we've got our good friend Marta.
Hello.
Marta's from Poland, and it's her expertise in the Polish language that we need at the moment because of what we've found in the cemetery. Hopefully with your help today we can do another EVP session here, you repeating my questions in Polish this time, and let's see if we get a Polish response. This could be quite interesting. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do.
Let's go.
And he's recording now. Could you give us your name, please? Just say that again.
Czy mógłbyś podać nam swoje imię?
You went quiet.
Can you see her?
Czy widzisz ją?
Is she pretty?
Czy ładna jest?
Ooh, he likes you. That was fun. Aha! We're back again. You catch me looking at an old manuscript here from 1720. The Earl of Rothes. Earl of Rothes was the man who resolved the Pittenweem witches of 1705. He resolved the whole case. Now we have a letter here from him, which I'm looking at. Very interesting. But anyway, that's for another conversation. I should put my gadgets away. We finish off our investigation in Largo, and this is basically a sum up of what we achieved so far. This has been one of the most surprising investigations we've done, just because it led from nothing to being quite significant in the evidence we caught. We approached this from a person who gave us information that they saw this figure in a cemetery when they were there in 2008. And with writing about it, someone came forward to say they'd seen this person as well on the Coffin Walk with their children. Exactly same fellow, cloth cap and brown jacket and clothes. Same figure. So intrigued to this, we went to the cemetery, not expecting anything whatsoever, but on the visits we had there and picking up the figure on camera on a very calm, windless night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, we caught the figure between the trees on camera, and the EVPs, which Rodger took back and examined to get the Polish sounding names, words. We expressed these discoveries to Polish speaking friends who gave us the English interpretations from them, which threw us because that's the least thing we were expecting. But the history of the cemetery is that there was a Polish regiment of great numbers living not 300-400 yards from the cemetery at one point in Largo during the war. And they were a parachute regiment, dropped into Arnhem. They were massacred. A foolish drop on top of a hidden panzer regiment. Doesn't go down too well. And the name that came forth on our first investigation, we found the exact same name on a grave 3 yards up from where we did the original recording. That on its own is incredible evidence. And we got a secondary photo with the name Bizet, which came up in our recordings as well, Bizet. Now there's quite a few Bizets in the cemetery, but the grave that we were looking at, again, wasn't a few yards from where we got a recording, and that's the one we got the heat-seeking camera image of the figure there. So I mean, fantastic. You can't wish for anything else being an investigator to get evidence like this. The original photograph of the figure between the trees, nothing exists between the trees. There's no foliage. There's nothing could be unmistaken as a person. There's just nothing there. So what we got was some shifty character standing where he shouldn't, which there was nobody in the graveyard bar us that night, which is amazing. And to bring in our Polish speaking friend Marta to decipher our English into Polish for our EVPs, and then get an answer coming back again, and it just shows that this Polish fellow mentioning the bald fellow, it must be me, imagine, because Roger's got a full set of hair. This direct communication between a dead person and ourselves, which is startling as in evidence, and absolutely fascinating for us. We couldn't have done this without the person coming forward with the as a witness to see the original figure walking about that went down the Coffin Walk that started all this interest off. And this is what we feed on. We need people to come forward and give us your stories. We will investigate. And look what came of this one. The evidence is utterly fascinating for us. Long may it continue, and off to our next one. Thank you again.